Hello, this is January 20th, and it seems like an opportune time on the day of the inauguration of Donald Trump, again as President of the US, to present the new updated 5I strategic planning, strategic decision making process, which I suspect is going to be very useful for many people in the coming years. The original Five Eyes, most people who have worked with me over the past 25, 30 years will be familiar with it, was to identify the issues, use our imagination to explore scenarios, identify our assumptions, and only after having done that would we take any kind of decision as to our intent, our vision, our direction, our new positioning for 3 to 5 years' time, i.e. where we're trying to get to in the next few years. And having done that, we'd innovate and then actually make an impact by moving in more into project management and creating a project portfolio, etc., managing that to make sure that whatever vision we'd come up with, whatever intention we had, was translated into action. So that was the original Five Eyes, and it's still quite useful in situations where we can isolate units, entities, we're in relatively stable positions, not changing quite as quickly as many markets these days, or for different departments, etc., who have very clear deliverables and they're just looking to more explore how are they going to get there. The reality, though, for many of us is that the world has changed, and many of us are now familiar with the VUCA acronym, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And there's also other ones that have come to the fore. BANI, which is brittle, levels of anxiety are much higher. We're in a non-linear type world, and also where things are just beyond our understanding to understand all the aspects of a different system and to make sense of what's going on both inside our organizations and outside. It's just too overwhelming. Or RUPT, I kind of like aspects of this. Things are changing quickly, very unpredictably as well. Paradoxically, we have to hold different paradoxes in our mind as being potential truths at the same time. And also the idea of entanglement, where the level of interconnectedness of everything within the system makes trying to get a good grasp, understanding of our particular situation in a very linear way is almost impossible. So all these different acronyms mean that we're in a different world, and I think the coming of the second coming of Trump is going to see us having to operate in these kind of environments. So what are the updated Five Eyes? Here we're in much more of an emergent mode, looking at complex systems, quickly changing systems, where we simply cannot have that level of detailed understanding of all the different elements in order to take very rational decisions. So here we tend to have a group of diverse stakeholders, and probably a large group of stakeholders come together. And the first challenge is to actually understand how different people see the situation that we're facing and try and get a good understanding of the system. And by creating a good landing space, we come to a shared intention of what we're trying to achieve during this decision-making process. Having done that, we immerse ourselves really into observing what's going on in different environments, appreciating different stakeholders' point of view, and really coming to that level of acceptance where we'll never understand, we can never analyze the data, collect enough data in order to come to an answer. And somewhere or another, we're going to have to come to an answer within the social field we've created amongst the different stakeholders. And it'll be a matter of identifying some of the invisible aspects, some of the areas where we're stuck, where the bottlenecks are, looking at the system more as a flowing entity, which is just not flowing as we would like it to. And the idea of letting go of a lot of our intellectual baggage, our concept of really getting a grasp of a situation or a question so we can take a logical decision, and really stepping into a world where we're accepting that intuition, how we feel about things, what we feel about the next step might be more important than what our brain is telling us. And if we can get to that stage, we can step into a stage of interlude, a space of not knowing, of pausing, of taking a time out, where we can literally get into kind of that flow state of mindfulness and presencing, trying to really tap into what might want to emerge from this situation, from the potential futures we're looking at, and from the social field we've created. And by doing so, as a group of people having generative conversations, we can generate new insights, new perspectives, new ideas of what we might do, what we could do. And then, having captured all those, we move into a state of testing, of prototyping, of piloting things. And we're moving from a situation where the system was stuck, we didn't know what to do, into now a more of an experimenting mode, but we're moving forward and seeing what emerges as we do so. Now, this is a big move from the original 5 Eyes. So in order to get into this kind of new process, we need to adopt 6 strategic stances, which for some of us are probably going to prove quite challenging. The first is the stance of openness, welcoming other people, different ideas, and we're literally kind of leaning into the idea of listening, different perspectives, appreciating other points of view, and not trying to win arguments, just trying to get a better understanding of situations, people, etc. The second is a level of staccato, where we're literally trying to break things down, break down patterns, break down old ways of thinking, break down old ways of seeing different perspectives, and really operating on the edges of where people's stakeholders' perspectives differ, different systems impact on other systems, different forces impact on other forces, and just try and sense into those tensions and break them down a little bit and break down the way we're traditionally approach them. So this is a really important stage of the process. If we can't start to change the way we operate, we're not going to be able to operate with the new updated 5 Eye processes. If we can do so, we can really move into a stage of abandon, letting the old stuff go, letting our cerebral way of thinking move from just a pure brain cognitive way of thinking into more of an embodied presencing way of thinking, and using what is termed the extended mind, not just our intellect, but all our senses, in order to try and move, and literally move, release, and allow our instincts, our intuition to come to the fore, as opposed to just relying on our intellect. And having done so, we can again move into that sense of space, of letting things go, where there's no barriers. We're not fighting, we're not trying to control, we're just being fully present, fully conscious, fully aware of what's going on in the group dynamic. And it's that moment where we're potentially on a white canvas or a blue sky type of thing, where new opportunities, new perspectives can emerge. And we're literally into letting come. We're not letting go anymore, but we're letting come on that blank canvas what emerges, and capturing what was invisible, what was unknown, new perspectives, things we could do, etc., etc. And then finally moving into an area that some of us may be more familiar with, where we're prototyping, we're moving to action, back into action, and trying things out, and really just getting feedback, changing things, and really moving into a resolution type mode where we're building things up. We're seeing what we can build on from the ideas we've come from, but the big difference is now that we're moving. We're not stuck. We're not faced with kind of a brick wall anymore. We've now found different alternatives. We don't know which is the right one, but we're in a space where we can literally experiment and start moving forward. So what I'm hoping with the new 5 Eyes, the updated 5 Eyes, and these 6 different stances is we're gonna come up with a decision-making process, a strategic planning process that is really coherent with the world we're facing over the next few years. It's going to be very different, and I think we need a new way of operating in order to take the best decisions we possibly can. I'd love to hear your feedback on this new process. So whether you want to contact me by LinkedIn, by YouTube, or by the email address there, mark.hollingworth@5istrategicaffairs.com, I'd really like to hear what you have to say and see how you think you might adapt this in your organization's decision making. Thanks so much.